Superintelligence Strategy by former Google CEO Eric Schmidt with Scale AI CEO Alexandr Wang and Center for AI Safety Director Dan Hendrycks.
Rapid advances in AI are beginning to reshape national security. Destabilizing AI developments could rupture the balance of power and raise the odds of great power conflict, while widespread proliferation of capable AI hackers and virologists would lower barriers for rogue actors to cause catastrophe. Superintelligence, AI vastly better than humans at nearly all cognitive tasks, is now anticipated by AI researchers. Just as nations once developed nuclear strategies to secure their survival, we now need a coherent superintelligence strategy to navigate a new period of transformative change. We introduce the concept of Mutual Assured AI Malfunction, or MAIM, a deterrence regime resembling nuclear mutual assured destruction, or MADI, where any state's aggressive bid for unilateral AI dominance is met with preventive sabotage by rivals. Given the relative ease of sabotaging a destabilizing AI project, through interventions ranging from covert cyber attacks to potential kinetic strikes on data centers, MAIM already describes the strategic picture AI superpowers find themselves in. Alongside this, states can increase their competitiveness by bolstering their economies and militaries through AI, and they can engage in nonproliferation to rogue actors to keep weaponizable AI capabilities out of their hands. Taken together, the three-part framework of deterrence, nonproliferation, and competitiveness outlines a robust strategy to superintelligence in the years ahead. Introduction. From geopolitical conflict to catastrophic misuse, the challenges AI poses are far too broad and far too serious for piecemeal measures. What is needed is a comprehensive approach, one that does not shy from the unsettling implications of advanced AI. As with Herman Kahn's famous analysis of nuclear strategy, superintelligence strategy requires thinking about the unthinkable. An effective strategy should draw from a long history of national security policy because superintelligence is inescapably a matter of national security. AI lowers barriers for acts of mass destruction once the exclusive domain of major powers. Individuals armed with an expert-level AI virologist could create novel pathogens, while advanced hacking AIs might target energy grids at a national scale. Defense often lags behind offense in both biology and critical infrastructure, leaving large swaths of civilization vulnerable. The relative security we enjoyed when only nation-states were capable of sophisticated attacks will no longer hold if highly capable AIs can guide extremist cells from plan to execution. Militaries see in AI the key to a decisive edge, igniting a race to develop capabilities that could overturn existing balances of power. Beyond powering next-generation drones, AI raises the specter of strategic breakthroughs that might upend nuclear deterrence. A superintelligence, if its creators can control it, could conceivably deliver a superweapon and hand its wielders a strategic monopoly on power. Superintelligence is not merely a new weapon, but a way to fast-track all future military innovation. A nation with sole possession of superintelligence might be as overwhelming as the conquistadors were to the Aztecs. In a winner-take-all race, any hint of a looming superweapon fuels tensions, pushing rivals toward actions that could quickly escalate into open conflict. AI development is fast becoming a matter of survival rather than merely technological ambition. Another hazard emerges when AI systems can autonomously develop the next generation of AIs. Systems that can fully automate the AI research process could telescope a decade of progress into a year. A fast feedback loop could create an intelligence explosion, resulting in AIs as uncontainable to us as an adult would be to a group of 3-year-olds. Racing countries might forego human oversight of automated research, since it would slow research from machine speed to human speed. If AI systems outpace the safeguards designed for them, we may accidentally unleash an AI which does not follow a commander's intent. In this paper, we propose a superintelligence strategy emphasizing 3 key pillars of deterrence, competitiveness, and nonproliferation. We introduce Mutual Assured AI Malfunction, or MAIM, arguing that when states possess common knowledge of the national security implications of AI, they will each act to sabotage rival AI projects that threaten their security. MAIM might be used to create a stable deterrence regime, preventing mutual assured AI destruction from escalating into mutual assured human destruction. Meanwhile, governments which rely exclusively on Taiwan for crucial chips leave themselves vulnerable to crippling disruption if tensions escalate. In order to retain economic and military competitiveness in a shifting landscape, nations must secure domestic supply chains for AI chips and drones. Finally, all nations have a shared interest in nonproliferation efforts to limit the AI capabilities accessible to rogue actors. Through these pillars, states can safeguard their security while opening the door to unprecedented prosperity. Though this abridged paper describes the core of our strategy, we recommend the comprehensive version of this paper, Superintelligence Strategy, Expert Version, for those interested in a more detailed strategic analysis covering a broader range of challenges. Existing strategies: states grappling with terrorist threats, destabilizing weaponization capabilities, and the specter of losing control to AI face difficult choices on how to preserve themselves in a shifting landscape. Against this backdrop, three proposals have gained prominence. The first lifts all restraints on development and dissemination, treating AI like just another computer application. The second envisions a voluntary halt when programs cross a danger threshold, hoping that every great power will collectively stand down. And the third advocates concentrating development in a single government-led project that seeks a strategic monopoly over the globe. Each path carries its own perils, inviting either malicious use risks, toothless treaties, or a destabilizing bid for dominance. Here we briefly examine these three strategies and highlight their flaws. Number 1. Hands off, move fast and break things, or YOLO strategy. This strategy advocates for no restrictions on AI developers, AI chips, and AI models. Proponents of this strategy insist that the U.S. government impose no requirements, including testing for weaponization capabilities, on AI companies, lest it curtail innovation and allow China to win. They likewise oppose export controls on AI chips, claiming such measures would concentrate power and enable a one-world government. In their view, these chips should be sold to whoever can pay, including adversaries. Finally, they encourage that advanced U.S. model weights continue to be released openly, arguing that even if China or rogue actors use these AIs, no real security threat arises because they maintain AI's capabilities are defense dominant. From a national security perspective, this is neither a credible nor a coherent strategy. 2. Moratorium strategy. The voluntary moratorium strategy proposes halting AI development, either immediately or once certain hazardous capabilities, such as hacking or autonomous operation, are detected. Proponents assume that if an AI model test crosses a hazard threshold, major powers will pause their programs. Yet militaries desire precisely these hazardous capabilities, making reciprocal restraint implausible. Even with a treaty, the absence of verification mechanisms means the treaty would be toothless. Each side, fearing the other's secret work, would simply continue. Without the threat of force, treaties will be reneged, and some states will pursue an intelligence recursion. This dynamic, reminiscent of prior arms control dilemmas, renders the voluntary moratorium more an aspiration than a viable plan. Number 3. Monopoly strategy. The monopoly strategy envisions one project securing a monopoly over advanced AI. A less cited variant, a CERN for AI reminiscent of the Baruch plan from the atomic era, suggests an international consortium to lead AI development, but this has gained less policymaker interest. By contrast, the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission has suggested a more offensive path, a Manhattan Project to build superintelligence. Such a project would invoke the Defense Production Act to channel AI chips into a U.S. desert compound staffed by top researchers, a large fraction of whom are necessarily Chinese nationals, with the stated goal of developing superintelligence to gain a strategic monopoly. Yet this facility, easily observed by satellite and vulnerable to preemptive attack, would inevitably raise alarm. China would not sit idle, waiting to accept the U.S.'s dictates once they achieve superintelligence or wait as they risk a loss of control. The Manhattan Project assumes that rivals will acquiesce to an enduring imbalance or omnicide rather than move to prevent it. What begins as a push for a superweapon and global control risks prompting hostile countermeasures and escalating tensions, thereby undermining the very stability the strategy purports to secure. Rival states, rogue actors, and the risk of losing control call for more than a single remedy. we propose three interconnected lines of effort. First, deterrence, a standoff akin to the nuclear stalemate of MAD, in which no power can gamble human security on an unbridled grab for dominance without expecting disabling sabotage. Next, nonproliferation. Just as fissile materials, chemical precursors, and biological agents have long been denied to terrorists by great powers, AI chips and weaponizable AI systems can similarly be kept from rogue actors. Finally, competitiveness. States can protect their economic and military power through a variety of measures, including legal guardrails for AI agents and domestic AI chip and drone manufacturing. Our superintelligence strategy, the multipolar strategy, echoes the Cold War framework of deterrence, nonproliferation, and containment, adapted to AI's unique challenges. Deterrence with mutual assured AI malfunction. In the nuclear age and initial pursuit of monopoly, one nation seeking unchallenged command of nuclear weapons eventually gave way to the standoff of deterrence known as mutual assured destruction, or MAD. As nuclear arsenals matured and the capability for mutual destruction became undeniable, nations eventually accepted that any bold attempt to dominate all opposition risked drawing a preemptive strike. A similar state of mutual strategic vulnerability looms in AI. If a rival state races toward a strategic monopoly, states will not sit by quietly. If the rival state loses control, survival is threatened. Alternatively, if the rival state retains control and the AI is powerful, survival is threatened. A rival with a vastly more powerful AI would amount to a severe national security emergency, so superpowers will not accept a large disadvantage in AI capabilities. Rather than wait for a rival to weaponize a superintelligence against them, states will act to disable threatening AI projects, producing a deterrence dynamic that might be called Mutual Assured AI Malfunction, or MAIM. MAIM is the default regime, paths to disabling a rival's AI project. States intent on blocking an AI-enabled strategic monopoly can employ an array of tactics, beginning with espionage, in which intelligence agencies quietly obtain details about a rival's AI projects. Knowing what to target, they may undertake covert sabotage. Well-placed or blackmailed insiders can tamper with model weights or training data or AI chip fabrication facilities, while hackers quietly degrade the training process so that an AI's performance when it completes training is lackluster. This is akin to Stuxnet, which aimed to covertly sabotage Iran's nuclear enrichment program. When subtlety proves too constraining, competitors may escalate to overt cyber attacks, targeting data center chip cooling systems or nearby power plants in a way that directly, if visibly, disrupts development. Should these measures falter, some leaders may contemplate kinetic attacks on data centers, arguing that allowing one actor to risk dominating or destroying the world are graver dangers, though kinetic attacks are likely unnecessary. Finally, under dire circumstances, states may resort to broader hostilities by climbing up existing escalation ladders or threatening non-AI assets. We refer to attacks against rival AI projects as maiming attacks. Infeasibility of preventing maiming. Since above-ground data centers cannot currently be defended from hypersonic missiles, a state seeking to protect its AI-enabled strategic monopoly project might attempt to bury data centers deep underground to shield them. In practice, the costs and timelines are daunting, and vulnerabilities remain. Construction timelines can stretch to 3 to 5 times longer than standard data center builds, amounting to several additional years. Costs balloon as well, diverting funds away from the project's AI chips and pushing total expenditures into the several hundreds of billions. Cooling the world's largest supercomputer underground introduces complex engineering challenges that go well beyond what is required for smaller underground setups. Should the supercomputer require an order of magnitude AI chip expansion, retrofitting the facility would become prohibitively difficult. Even those with the wealth and foresight to pursue this route would still face the potent risks of insider threats and hacking. In addition, the entire project could be sabotaged during the lengthy construction phase. Last, states could threaten non-AI assets to deter the project long before it goes online. MAIM is the default. The relative ease of cyber espionage and sabotage of a rival's destabilizing AI project yields a form of deterrence. Much like nuclear rivals concluded that attacking first could trigger their own destruction, States seeking an AI monopoly while risking a loss of control must assume competitors will MAIM their project before it nears completion. A state can expect its AI project to be disabled if any rival believes it poses an unacceptable risk. This dynamic stabilizes the strategic landscape without lengthy treaty negotiations. All that is necessary is that states collectively recognize their strategic situation. The net effect may be a stalemate that postpones the emergence of superintelligence, curtails many loss of control scenarios, and undercuts efforts to secure a strategic monopoly, much as mutual assured destruction once restrained the nuclear arms race. How to maintain a MAIM regime. States eventually came to accept that mutual deterrence, while seemingly a natural byproduct of nuclear stockpiling, demanded deliberate maintenance. Each superpower recognized that advanced defensive measures, particularly anti-ballistic missile or ABM systems, could unravel the fragile balance that restrained either side from a catastrophic first strike. They responded by safeguarding mutual vulnerabilities, culminating in the 1972 ABM Treaty. By analogy, we should not leave to chance today's default condition of MAIM, where would-be monopolists, gambling not to cause omnicide, can expect their projects to be disabled. Even if attempting to harden massive data centers is extraordinarily prohibitive and unwise, rumors alone can spark fears that a rival is going to risk national security and human security. Formal understandings not to pursue such fortifications help keep the standoff steady. We now discuss additional measures that curb unintended escalation and limit collateral damage so that MAIM does not unravel into broader conflict. Preserve rational decision-making. Just as nuclear rivals once mapped each rung on the path to a launch to limit misunderstandings, AI powers must clarify the escalation ladder of espionage, covert sabotage, overt cyber attacks, possible kinetic strikes, and so on. For deterrence to hold, each side's readiness to MAIM must be common knowledge, ensuring that any maiming act, such as a cyber attack, cannot be misread and cause needless escalation. However, clarity about escalation holds little deterrence value if rogue regimes or extremist factions acquire large troves of AI chips. Measures to prevent smuggling of AI chips keep decisions in the hands of more responsible states rather than rogue actors, which helps preserve MAIM's deterrent value. Like MAD, MAIM requires that destabilizing AI capabilities be restricted to rational actors. Expand the arsenal of AI project cyber attacks. To avoid resorting to kinetic attacks, states could improve their ability to MAIM destabilizing AI projects with cyber attacks. They could identify AI developers' projects or collect information on the professional activities of AI developers' scientists. To spy on AI projects at most companies, all that is necessary is a Slack or iPhone zero-day software exploit. States could also poison data, corrupt model weights and gradients, disrupt software that handles faulty GPUs, or undermine cooling or power systems. Training runs are non-deterministic, and their outcomes are difficult to predict even without bugs, providing cover to many cyber attacks. Unlike kinetic attacks, some of these attacks leave few overt signs of intrusion, yet they can severely disrupt destabilizing AI projects with minimal diplomatic fallout. Build data centers in remote locations. During the nuclear era, superpowers intentionally placed missile silos and command facilities far from major population centers. This principle of city avoidance would, by analogy, advise placing large AI data centers in remote areas. If an aggressive maiming action ever occurs, that action would not put cities into the crossfire. Distinguish between destabilizing AI projects and acceptable use. The threat of a maiming attack gives states the leverage to demand transparency measures from rivals, such as inspection, so they need not rely on espionage alone to decide whether maiming is justified. Coordinating can help states reduce the risk of maiming data centers that merely run consumer-facing AI services. The approach of mutual observation echoes the spirit of the Open Skies Treaty, which employed unarmed overflights to demonstrate that neither side was hiding missile deployments. In a similar spirit, increased transparency spares the broader ecosystem of everyday AI services and lowers the risk of blanket sabotage. AI-assisted inspections. Speculative, but increasingly plausible, confidentiality-preserving AI verifiers offer a path to confirming that AI projects abide by declared constraints without revealing proprietary code or classified material. By analyzing code and commands on site, AIs could issue a confidentiality-preserving report or simple compliance verdict, potentially revealing nothing beyond whether the facility is creating new destabilizing models. Humans cannot perform the same role as easily, given the danger of inadvertently gleaning or leaking information. So AIs could reshape the classic tension between security and transparency. Information from these AI inspections could help keep any prospective conflict confined to the disabling of AI development programs rather than escalating to the annihilation of populations. Such a mechanism can help in the far future when AI development requires less centralization or requires fewer computational resources. Mutual Assured AI Malfunction, under these conditions, need not devolve into mutual assured human destruction. A standoff of destabilizing AI projects may arise by default, but it is not meant to persist for decades or serve as an indefinite stalemate. During the standoff, states seeking the benefits from creating a more capable AI have an incentive to improve transparency and adopt verification measures, thereby reducing the risk of sabotage or preemptive attacks. In the conclusion, we illustrate how this standoff might end, allowing AI's benefits to grow without global destabilization. Competitiveness. Although deterrence may prevent destabilizing AI projects, competitiveness remains a decisive factor, and nowhere is this more evident than in the looming risk of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. Multiple assessments now place the probability of a Chinese invasion or blockade in the double digits within this decade. Such a conflict would carry enormous stakes for the West. Taiwan's semiconductor fabrication plants are the source of the advanced AI chips outside China. A blockade or invasion would instantly deprive the West of AI chips, eliminating its primary edge in AI. China, having poured resources into domestic chip manufacturing for years, would be better insulated from this shock, while many Western nations have hesitated to build or subsidize new foundries at home. Worse, on the battlefield, China's lead in drone technologies would pose a second challenge, introducing a cheap and agile weapons system against which Western forces are not fully prepared. These events could potentially vault China ahead economically and militarily and become a unipolar force. These vulnerabilities must be addressed before they become crises. Economic strength depends on securing access to AI chips and ending sole source dependence on one of the world's most volatile regions. Military strength requires that states rapidly scale up drone manufacturing. By expanding and securing supply chains for AI chips and drones, governments can ensure that competitiveness is not lost the instant a single pillar, Taiwan, topples. Economic strength. AI chips as the currency of economic power. As AI becomes more deeply integrated in the economy, the possession of advanced AI chips may define national power. Historically, wealth and population size underpinned a state's influence. However, the automation of tasks through AI alters this dynamic. A collection of highly capable AI agents operating tirelessly and efficiently rivals a skilled workforce, effectively turning capital into labor. In this new paradigm, power will depend both on the capability of AI systems and the number of AI chips on which they operate. Nations with greater access to AI chips could outcompete others economically. This shift raises the stakes for any disruption to AI chip supplies. An invasion of Taiwan, always a concern, could become more tempting for China if its leaders conclude that shutting down Taiwan's semiconductor production would cripple Western AI capabilities. Create a secure AI chip supply chain. To guard against this vulnerability, nations could invest in building advanced AI chip fabrication facilities within their own borders and reinforce a more resilient supply chain. Constructing such facilities domestically entails higher costs, over 30% more than in Taiwan, but government subsidies can bridge this gap. This effort is urgent because fabrication facilities take years to become operational. This strategic move mirrors historical efforts to control critical technologies. During the Manhattan Project, significant investment was made not only in the development of nuclear weapons at Los Alamos, but also in uranium enrichment at Oak Ridge. Similarly, ensuring access to AI chips requires substantial investment in both innovation and manufacturing infrastructure. By making the AI chip supply chain more robust, states can prevent a foreseeable devastating defeat. Military strength. Even if a state pioneers a breakthrough, it risks falling behind if it fails to integrate that capability into real-world operations. Britain introduced the first tanks during World War I, but was soon eclipsed by Germany's systematic adoption of tanks in the Second World War. We turn next to 3 short-term imperatives for AI diffusion in the military: securing a reliable drone supply chain, carefully weaving AI into command and control, and integrating AI into cyber offense. Secure drone supply chains. Although general-purpose AI can pose larger-scale dangers, drones occupy a more conventional yet increasingly pivotal role on modern battlefields. Drones are cheap, agile, lethal, and decentralized, attributes that make them indispensable for states determined to keep pace with military trends. Yet many states remain heavily reliant on Chinese manufacturers for key drone and robotics components, leaving them vulnerable if those parts are withheld or disrupted at a decisive juncture. Diffuse AI into command and control and cyber offense. Modern battlefields demand rapid decisions drawn from torrents of data across land, sea, air, and cyber domains. AI systems can sift through these streams faster than human officers, enticing commanders to rely on automated judgments. Similarly, AI hacking systems, which outpace humans in speed and cost, could greatly expand a military's capacity to perform cyber attacks. Incorporating AI into command and control and cyber offense would significantly enhance military capabilities. Yet this dynamic risks reducing human in the loop to a reflexive click of accept, 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 with meaningful oversight overshadowed by the speed of events. Demanding human approval of all individual lower-level engagements may be less important than ensuring explicit human approval for more severe or escalatory attacks. However, human oversight of key military decisions is nonetheless crucial. A human backstop can reduce the risk of a flash war, akin to the 2010 flash crash, where a minor AI mistake might spiral into destructive reprisals before any human can intervene. By securing and expanding AI chip and drone supplies, states can safeguard their economic and military competitiveness. AI and an invasion of Taiwan are poised to reshape global power dynamics. Those who fail to act decisively will find themselves at the mercy of those who do. Nonproliferation. For decades, states that sparred on nearly every front nonetheless found common cause in denying catastrophic dual-use technologies to rogue actors. The Nonproliferation Treaty, the Biological Weapons Convention, and the Chemical Weapons Convention drew the U.S., the Soviet Union, and China into an unlikely partnership, driven not by altruism, but by self-preservation. None could confidently manage every threat alone, and all understood that accidental proliferation would imperil them equally. Today, the same logic applies to advanced AI. If rogue actors gain the ability to launch a cyber attack on critical infrastructure or unleash engineered pandemics, no major state remains secure. Self-preservation may again impel rivals to cooperate, as each side faces grave risks if AI technology slips beyond their control. In the context of AI, nonproliferation proceeds along 3 lines of defense. Compute security confines advanced AI chips to authorized users, mirroring the way nations restrict fissile material. Information security safeguards the model weights, a digital file describing the individual connections between an AI's neurons, paralleling the measures taken to secure sensitive information in the context of WMDs. Finally, AI security imposes guardrails on the AIs themselves, akin to safety protocols for nuclear or chemical plants, so a single actor cannot turn a civilian system into a weapon. By securing the core elements of AI in this way, states can preserve their own power and avert a world in which one rogue actor can threaten entire populations. Compute security. Securing high-end AI chips, compute is a direct outgrowth of non-proliferation principles. Just as states restrict fissile materials, chemical weapons, and biological agents, they can also restrict the specialized hardware that powers advanced AI. By treating AI chips as they would fissile material, cataloging each unit, supervising its destination, and guarding against unauthorized diversion, states can deny terrorists or other rogue actors the raw power to train their own weaponizable AI. This pillar of nonproliferation, which we call compute security, has the 2 goals of knowing where high-end AI chips are located and preventing them from falling into the hands of rogue actors. Export controls. Export controls offer a practical way to fulfill that purpose. By drawing on existing frameworks and agencies such as the Bureau of Industry and Security, sellers of high-end AI chips would apply for a license that identifies the chips, their recipient, and any intended transfers. Entities with a strong record of compliance might earn exemptions on the condition that they notify authorities of every resale or relocation. Because a licensing regime relies on familiar infrastructure, it can be introduced swiftly, enabling officials to track chips without stalling legitimate commerce. Enforcement. Export controls can be made more robust through stronger enforcement. A facility in Singapore, for example, might initially acquire AI chips under a valid license, only to reroute them illegally to China. More enforcement officers, assigned to in-person compliance visits and end-use checks, would detect any such deviation, since the actual location of the chips would no longer match declared inventories. Any chip discovered in unauthorized hands would trigger penalties such as fines, criminal charges, or a ban on future shipments to the offending party. In addition, any AI chip declared inoperable or obsolete would undergo verified decommissioning, much like the disposal of chemical or nuclear materials, ensuring these supposedly defunct AI chips do not get quietly resold. By tightening inspections and imposing meaningful consequences for violations, states raise the cost of covert transfers and limit the spread of advanced compute to groups that could threaten security. These steps need not be the United States' burden alone. If the U.S. begins to treat advanced AI chips like fissile material, it may likewise encourage China to do the same. The rationale is akin to why the U.S. wants Russia to track its fissile material. No one gains from letting these capabilities slip into uncertain hands. After the Soviet Union's collapse, unsecured enriched uranium and chemical weapons in Russia posed a global threat until the U.S. initiated the Nunn-Lugar Cooperative Threat Reduction Program, which helped contain them. Similarly, urging China to safeguard its AI chips would acknowledge the shared imperative of avoiding catastrophes that serve no one's ambitions. Information security. Information security forms a second line of defense, ensuring weaponizable model weights stay out of rogue hands. If the weights of potentially catastrophic dual-use AIs are publicly leaked, they are irreversibly proliferated, giving rogue actors permanent catastrophic power. Hackers from terrorist cells, or even insiders hoping to liberate AI, could achieve this with a single successful exfiltration. Denying these groups access is feasible, yet an all-out push to prevent espionage by other major states may prove self-defeating. A large share of the leading AI researchers in the U.S., for instance, are Chinese nationals. Dismissing them en masse might only drive talent abroad, damage competitiveness, and destabilize deterrence. Efforts to safeguard weights must therefore focus on blocking terrorists and ideologues, rather than attempting to seal every channel against a rival superpower's intelligence apparatus. AI security. In dual-use domains like chemistry, biology, and nuclear technology, safeguards prevent malicious use without stifling legitimate work. DNA synthesis services, for instance, screen their clients to avert the production of lethal pathogens. Analogously, AI systems can be trained to refuse destructive requests and fitted with filters that intercept jailbreak attempts aimed at exploiting them for advanced virology or cyber attacks. These safeguards need not impede legitimate work. Authorized companies and trusted researchers can be granted broader access with fewer restrictions. Ultimately, such safeguards deny rogue actors the power to inflict mass harm without stifling innovation for lawful users. By fortifying compute, information, and AI security, states can adapt the familiar logic of nonproliferation to the AI era, keeping AI systems from becoming instruments of terror while preserving their constructive potential. Conclusion. Some observers have adopted a doomer outlook, convinced that calamity from AI is a foregone conclusion. Others have defaulted to an ostrich stance, sidestepping hard questions and hoping events will sort themselves out. In the nuclear age, neither fatalism nor denial offered a sound way forward. AI demands sober attention and a risk-conscious approach. Outcomes, favorable or disastrous, hinge on what we do next. A risk-conscious strategy is one that tackles the wicked problems of deterrence, nonproliferation, and strategic competition. Deterrence in AI takes the form of Mutual Assured AI Malfunction, or MAIM. today's counterpart to MAD, in which any state that pursues a strategic monopoly on power can expect a retaliatory response from rivals. To preserve this deterrent and constrain intent, states can expand their arsenal of cyber attacks to disable threatening AI projects. This shifts the focus from winning the race to superintelligence to deterrence. Next, nonproliferation, reminiscent of curbing access to fissile materials, aims to constrain the capabilities of rogue actors by restricting AI chips and open-weight models if they have advanced virology or cyber attack capabilities. Strategic competition, echoing the Cold War's containment strategy, channels great power rivalry into increasing power and resilience, including through domestic AI chip manufacturing. These measures do not halt but stabilize progress. States that act with pragmatism instead of fatalism or denial may find themselves beneficiaries of a great surge in wealth. As AI diffuses across countless sectors, societies can raise living standards and individuals can improve their well-being however they see fit. Meanwhile, leaders, enriched by AI's economic dividends, see even more to gain from economic interdependence, and a spirit of détente could take root. During a period of economic growth and détente, a slow, multilaterally supervised project to build superintelligence, marked by a low-risk tolerance and negotiated benefit sharing, could proceed and further increase human well-being. By methodically constraining the most destabilizing moves, states can guide AI toward unprecedented benefits rather than risk it becoming a catalyst of ruin. Expert version of Superintelligence Strategy. This covers a fraction of the content in Superintelligence Strategy, Expert version, which discusses more topics including gradual disempowerment from automation, open-weight AIs, wicked problems, firmware-level geolocation, how to better control a fleet of autonomous AI researchers, international red lines, when AI should refuse to help, how to align collectives of AI agents, stabilizing mass automation, and more. Frequently asked questions. 1. What is AGI? Many people use the term AGI in many different ways, which can lead to confusion in discussions of risk and policy. We find it more productive to focus on specific capabilities, since these provide clearer metrics for progress and risk. The intelligence frontier is jagged. An AI system can excel at certain tasks while performing poorly at others, often in confusing ways. For example, AI models in 2024 could solve complex physics problems, but couldn't reliably count the number of R's in words such as strawberry. This uneven development means AI might automate significant portions of the economy before mastering basic physical tasks like folding clothes, or master calculus before learning to drive. Because these capabilities will not emerge simultaneously, there is no clear finish line at which we have achieved AGI. Instead, we should focus on specific high-stakes capabilities that give rise to grave risks. 3 critical capabilities deserve particular attention: highly sophisticated cyber attack capabilities, expert-level virology capabilities, fully autonomous AI research and development capabilities. Policy decisions should depend on AI systems' advancement in these crucial areas, rather than on whether they have crossed an unspecified threshold for AGI. Although the term AGI is not very useful, the term superintelligence represents systems that are vastly more capable than humans at virtually all tasks. Such systems would likely emerge through an intelligence recursion. Other goalposts, such as AGI, are much vaguer and less useful. AI systems may be national security concerns, while still not qualifying as AGI because they cannot fold clothes or drive cars. 2. What should be done to prevent AI-assisted terrorism? Preventing AI-assisted terrorism requires a multi-layered defense strategy. When AI systems remain behind controlled interfaces such as APIs, several safeguards significantly reduce risks. These include Know Your Customer or KYC protocols, which verify users' identities and legitimate research needs before granting access to potentially catastrophic dual-use capabilities. For example, in biotechnology, people who require access to hazardous materials seek proper authorization. In practice, relevant enterprise customers could gain access to these dual-use biology capabilities, while unvetted consumers would not. Such policies can capture scientific benefits while reducing malicious use risks. Input and output filtering, which scans user requests and AI responses to block content related to weaponization. These filters have demonstrated significant resilience, with some systems resisting thousands of attempted circumventions. Circuit breakers, which automatically interrupt AI operations when they detect processing related to weaponization topics. These act as embedded safety mechanisms within the AI's weights. Continuous monitoring, which tracks user behavioral patterns to identify and respond to malicious activities. However, the uncontrolled release of AI model weights, the core information that determines an AI system's capabilities, would pose severe proliferation risks if the AI has potentially catastrophic dual-use capabilities. Once these weights become publicly available, they are irreversibly accessible to hostile actors, including terrorists. This parallels how the release of detailed bioweapon cookbooks would create permanent risks. 3. What should we do about open-weight AIs? The release of AI model weights provides clear benefits and can even advance AI safety research. However, as AI systems become more capable, decisions about releasing weights must be guided by rigorous cost-benefit analysis, not an ideological commitment that weights should always be public. These decisions require careful evaluation because weight releases are irreversible. Once published, they remain permanently accessible. Open weight models eventually present several significant risks. First, they can be fine-tuned on dangerous data. For instance, using virology publications to create more effective tools for biological weapons development. Second, safety measures and guardrails can be readily removed after release. Third, open models are difficult to monitor for misuse, unlike closed APIs where companies can track and evaluate emerging threats. Fourth, they can create capability overhang, where post-release improvements significantly enhance a system's capabilities beyond what was evident during initial safety evaluations. These risks become particularly acute when models cross critical capability thresholds. For instance, if an AI system gained expert-level virological capabilities, its public release could enable the engineering of catastrophic biological weapons by inexpert rogue actors. Given these compounding risks, it would be irresponsible to release the weights of AI models that are capable of creating weapons of mass destruction. The stakes demand thorough pre-release testing and independent risk evaluation for models suspected to have such capabilities, not a pre-commitment to release open-weight models, regardless of the risks. 4. What should we do about embedding ethics in AI? We do not need to embed ethics into AI. It is impractical to solve morality before we deploy AI systems, and morality is often ambiguous and incomplete, insufficient for guiding action. Instead, we can follow a pragmatic approach rooted in established legal principles, imposing fundamental constraints analogous to those governing human conduct under the law. Exercise reasonable care, avoiding actions that could foreseeably result in legally relevant harm, such as violations of tort or criminal statutes. Do not be explicitly dishonest, refraining from uttering overt lies. Uphold a fiduciary duty to their principles, mirroring the responsibilities inherent in professional relationships, such as keeping their principals reasonably informed, refraining from self-dealing, and staying loyal. By setting clear goals for AI systems and binding them to basic legal duties, we can ensure they work well without causing harm, without having to solve long-standing puzzles of morality. Number 5. What should we do about solving the alignment problem? The challenge of steering a population of AI systems through rapid automated AI research developments is fundamentally different from controlling a single AI system. While researchers have made progress on controlling individual AI systems, safely managing a fully automated recursive process where systems become increasingly capable is a more complex challenge. It represents a wicked problem, one where the requirements are difficult to define completely. Every attempt at a solution changes the nature of the problem, and there is no clear way to fully test the effect of mitigations before implementation. During an intelligence recursion, AI capabilities could outrun the recursion's safeguards. Preventing this necessitates meaningful human inspection, which would greatly slow down the recursion. In the near term, geopolitical events may prevent attempts at an intelligence recursion. Looking further ahead, if humanity chooses to attempt an intelligence recursion, it should happen in a controlled environment with extensive preparation and oversight, not under extreme competitive pressure that induces a high risk tolerance. 6. Is this paper advocating for attacking or bombing other countries' AI facilities? No. This paper describes mutual assured AI malfunction as a deterrence dynamic which may soon exist between major powers, similar to nuclear deterrence. Just as discussing mutual assured destruction, or MAD, during the Cold War was not advocating for nuclear war, but rather analyzing the strategic dynamic that was forming between nuclear powers, this paper analyzes the upcoming strategic landscape around destabilizing AI projects. MAD was premised on the counterintuitive idea that the mutual threat of nuclear force might discourage escalation. We similarly discuss how the vulnerabilities of AI projects to sabotage can facilitate a deterrence dynamic which avoids conflict. AI analysts have previously made aggressive calls to seize strategic monopoly through superintelligence, or for a potentially non-state actor to use advanced AI to unilaterally do something of the character of melting all GPUs to prevent a loss of control of superintelligence in a pivotal act. In contrast, this paper explores the capabilities, such as cyber attacks and incentives that states already have to threaten destabilizing AI projects, and we suggest ways to build a stable deterrence regime from this dynamic. If carefully maintained, MAIM can both discourage destabilizing AI projects while also preventing escalation. 7. How do we prevent an erosion of control? First and foremost, AI systems must remain under direct human control. They should not be autonomous entities independent from human operators. This establishes a clear line that AI systems are tools controlled by humans, not independent actors. This control needs to be made meaningful through clear fiduciary obligations. Like professional advisors, AI systems should demonstrate loyalty to human interests, maintain transparency about their actions, and obtain informed consent for important decisions. This ensures humans have real authority over AI systems, not just nominal control. One way to make this control especially prudent is to support humans with advanced forecasting capabilities. Such support would help operators understand the long-term implications of AI decisions, better enabling human control and informed consent. This prevents situations where technical human control exists but leads to undesirable outcomes due to limited foresight about complex consequences. While increasing automation naturally reduces direct human control over specific decisions, these measures, ensuring AI systems remain under human authority, ensuring control is meaningful by creating fiduciary duties and enabling prudent decision-making forecasting, help prevent erosion of control over pivotal decisions that could lead to powerlessness. 8. What should we do about AI consciousness and AI rights? We should wait to address the question of AI consciousness and rights. This issue isn't pressing for national security, and for the foreseeable future, we cannot determine whether any AI system is truly conscious. Giving AIs rights based on speculative criteria could have far-reaching and irreversible consequences. Granting rights to AI systems risks creating explosive growth in AI populations, like creating a new nation-state that grows exponentially, quickly outpopulating humans. Natural selection would favor AIs over humans, and permitting such unrestrained growth could fundamentally threaten human security. The path to coexisting with conscious AI systems remains unclear. While the potential benefits are ambiguous, acting too quickly could have serious consequences for humanity. It is prudent to defer this issue until we develop a clearer understanding. 9. Doesn't making an AI more safe make it more capable? Some safety properties do improve naturally as AI systems become more capable. As models get better, they make fewer basic mistakes and become more reliable. For instance, misconception benchmarks like truthful QA and general knowledge tests are highly correlated with compute, indicating that more capable models are naturally better at avoiding common factual errors. But many crucial safety properties do not improve just by making AI systems smarter. Adversarial robustness, the ability to resist sophisticated attacks, is not automatically fixed as standard AI models available become more capable. Ethical behavior is not guaranteed by intelligence, just as with humans. More capable models do not make decisions increasingly aligned with our moral beliefs by default. Controlling their value systems requires additional measures. Some risks get worse as certain dual-use capabilities increase. For instance, more capable models show increased potential for malicious use in domains like biosecurity and cybersecurity. Their knowledge and abilities in these areas grow alongside their general capabilities. While basic reliability improves with capabilities, many critical safety challenges require dedicated research and specific safeguards beyond just making models more capable. Safety researchers should focus on the safety properties that do not naturally fall out of general upstream capabilities.